Caitlin Clark's silence had been a puzzle for weeks. The anticipation built up like a slow-brewing storm. And as one of basketball's most dynamic players, Clark's silence was more than a personal choice. It was a void in the sports world. Known for her fiery play style and the kind of on-court energy that doesn't just fill a stadium but charges it, Caitlin Clark's voice has always matched her game, electric and precise. The reason her quiet was surprising. This is an athlete who usually isn't shy about her thoughts, letting her passion spill over in post-game interviews where her bold, sometimes even off-the-cuff comments became part of her charm. But lately, there was silence, a silence that invited questions and rumors. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. When Clark finally broke that silence, her words felt like a reset. Fans, analysts, and even her teammates were on edge, wondering what could keep someone like her away from speaking. But Clark isn't one for the drama of the tabloid kind. She chose her moment thoughtfully, not rushing into the spotlight but stepping back into it as if she'd never left. Her first words were as direct as her three-point shot, grounded and unapologetically Caitlin. No frills, no filters, just truth. And in that moment, her honesty carried the weight of those silent weeks. She addressed the whirlwind surrounding her, clarified what she needed to, and left everyone feeling like they finally had the missing piece to a puzzle. But why all the secrecy? This silence wasn't just for show. It was a quiet defiance, a way to take control of a narrative before it spun out of reach. For Caitlin, basketball is about performance, sure, but it's also about focus. She's seen the way attention can derail young athletes, how distractions outside the court can sap the energy that's supposed to be reserved for the game itself. So when she finally spoke, it was like opening a valve that had been under pressure, the words tumbling out with an honesty that surprised even her most loyal fans. Simultaneously, there was another twist in the basketball world. 72 hours without a WNBA coach, a time span that felt like an eternity in a league as fast-paced as women's basketball. Coaching isn't just about setting up plays or barking orders. It's the glue that keeps a team functional and motivated. In a league like the WNBA, where players already battle for recognition and fair pay, the absence of a coach isn't a minor hiccup. It's a roadblock. Imagine the impact on players used to the rhythm and discipline that a coach brings. Players walked onto the court with game faces, knowing the usual playbook was about to look very different. They're pros, yes, but the unstructured days tested them. Without a coach, every practice, every strategy session carried an air of unpredictability, a sense of the unfamiliar. The two events were connected not just by timing but by theme, control or lack thereof. Clark, in her own way, was asserting control, choosing when to speak, what to say, and most importantly, what not to say. The WNBA, on the other hand, was in a brief state of limbo, a period where control was, in essence, lost. Players had to manage themselves in the absence of that guiding voice on the sideline, and while they did their best to hold it together, the cracks showed. This wasn't just a gap in leadership. It was a pause that revealed just how much a coach's presence means in sports, how it anchors even the most self-assured players. The impact on the players without a coach for those 3 days was something to witness. They tried to stick to routines, but routines without a leader are like songs without rhythm. Practices were quiet, lacking the familiar voice that barked instructions and pushed them to their limits. Some players, the veterans, tried to take the reins, but it wasn't quite the same. There's a reason coaches hold the whistle. They carry an authority that's not just about power, but about the unity they inspire. Those 72 hours turned into a proving ground, testing not just the players' skills but their resilience, their adaptability in a world that rarely stops for breath. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark was watching, taking it all in, undoubtedly thinking about the intricacies of leadership, of the pressure that comes with standing at the center of a team, a brand, a movement. Her words hinted at something deeper, a realization of what she meant to fans, to young players, and even to herself. Clark wasn't just a player. She was becoming a symbol, a figure who represented not just talent, but a fresh attitude. And while she might joke about the awkward side of fame, her voice had a purpose that echoed far beyond the basketball court. For young athletes, Clark's silence, and subsequent return to the conversation, was a lesson in balance. Athletes today are expected to perform miracles on the court, only to turn around and be model citizens off it. But Clark, in her carefully chosen words, reminded everyone that being an athlete doesn't come with a constant public duty to explain yourself. Sometimes silence is a tool, a way to preserve the energy that others are so quick to demand. She managed to say, without spelling it out, that every athlete has the right to protect their peace, to guard their headspace like it's an extension of their game. She showed that control wasn't just about winning on the scoreboard, it was about setting boundaries, about knowing when to let others in and when to shut the doors. The WNBA players who went 72 hours without a coach, meanwhile, were learning their own lessons in independence. Without that guiding voice, they were thrown into situations that forced them to adapt, to step up as leaders in ways they hadn't anticipated. It wasn't just a matter of doing their best, it was about adjusting to a new reality, a short-lived one, but impactful nonetheless. In a league where athletes already feel they must prove themselves twice over, the absence of a coach became both a burden and a chance to shine. They were reminded that while a coach is crucial, they each have the power to be their own guide, even if the path is unclear. What Caitlin Clark's words and the WNBA's coachless days shared was a reminder of resilience, the quiet strength that athletes have to find when the usual support structures waver. Clark, with her calculated return to the conversation, sent a subtle message to fans and fellow athletes. Silence doesn't equate to weakness, and speaking out doesn't necessarily mean surrendering control. The WNBA, through those 72 hours of self-led drills and impromptu leadership, illustrated a similar point. Players don't need a constant authority figure to validate their worth. They just need the chance to prove that they can hold their own, coach or no coach. The basketball world took note of both events, seeing them not just as isolated incidents, but as moments that added a layer of complexity to the sport. Clark's voice, when she finally used it, was a reminder of why fans admired her in the first place, not for perfection, but for authenticity. And the WNBA's temporary pause on coaching was a chance for the players to remind the world that they're more than the teams they belong to or the coaches they work under. They are individuals, each with a story and a strength that runs deeper than wins and losses. These stories, unfolding in tandem, also spoke to the larger sports community, showing that while routines and leaders matter, athletes are adaptable by nature. Caitlin Clark's measured words brought a sense of calm, a reminder that she is someone who thrives on her terms, not on anyone else's timeline. And the WNBA's coachless days, they were a challenge, a test of patience, and a testament to the players' ability to push forward even when the path wasn't perfectly clear. In the end, what Clark's silence and the WNBA's brief leadership gap shared was a message about control, the ways to hold on to it, and the moments when it's necessary to let go. Caitlin Clark may have returned to the public eye, but she did so on her terms, with a statement that was as sharp and clean as one of her shots. And as for the WNBA players who went those 72 hours without a coach, they came out the other side knowing that they're more than prepared to face challenges, sometimes even without the usual voices guiding them. As the dust settled, both stories left the basketball community with something to think about. Caitlin Clark's silence and eventual words serve as a reminder that in sports and in life, sometimes the most powerful statements are the ones made with restraint. And the WNBA players, in their brief stint without a coach, showed that strength in sports isn't just about skill or strategy. It's about the quiet resilience that carries athletes forward, even when the usual structures disappear. Through different paths, Clark and the WNBA players reached a common ground, a space where, for a moment, they didn't just play the game, they redefined it. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.